You just booked your Royal Caribbean cruise, but now you're trying to figure out what should you do next? I've got the advice and tips for where to go from here up next. Hey everyone, it's Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. You just booked the perfect Royal Caribbean cruise for your family, and whether it's your first or 50th cruise, this results in such a great feeling of euphoria, excitement, and anticipation. But you might be wondering, okay, what should you do next now that you booked the cruise? First and foremost, you're already off to a great start by even asking this question, because too many people simply book a cruise and then do nothing in terms of planning and just show up. So instead today, I want to tell you about the things you need to be doing to ensure that you have a great start to your cruise, because you're going to do the work now, so that way it pays off when you get on board the ship. And it's not really work, it's just things to consider, things to plan, and things to look into, because I believe being an informed consumer leads to an overall better experience. Off the bat, you definitely took one of our big tips of advice, and that's you booked your Royal Caribbean cruise through a travel agent, right? Right? If you didn't, you have up to 60 days to transfer your reservation to a travel agent so they can assist you in ensuring your cruise vacation goes off without a hitch. Now, you might be saying, Matt, why would I want to transfer to a travel agent? I just booked it. Certainly, that's got to be easier. I took advantage of everything I can, right? A travel agent's services are more than just booking a cruise. Anybody can book a cruise, but a good travel agent is there to help you all along the way, and they can provide you information, advice, and ways to save you money even after you book your cruise. They're a good sounding board when you need advice on things like upgrading, changing staterooms, itinerary details, and maybe even a cancellation. If there's a problem with your reservation, they're your partner in getting things taken care of quickly and easily, and travel agents are there to help you save money whenever possible, especially if there's a price drop. So if you just booked a cruise, the first thing you should be doing is transfer it to a travel agent if you didn't book it already through the travel agent to begin with. All right, number 2, that is add your reservation to the Cruise Planner website. Now that your cruise is booked, you're going to want to start the pre-cruise planning process by looking over the shore excursions, drink packages, specialty dining choices, and other fun activities you can reserve online. A majority of these can be done by linking your cruise reservation to your Royal Caribbean account. You can access the Cruise Planner by filling out the necessary fields on Royal Caribbean's website, creating an account for yourself. Pretty straightforward stuff. Now, there's the Royal Caribbean app on your phone. We're going to get to that in a minute, but what we're talking about here is actually the Cruise Planner via the website. And for the pre-cruise planning process of booking things like drink packages and shore excursions and whatnot, it's actually easier and better to go through the website. We'll talk about the app in just a little minute. But once you're logged in, you'll have access to every detail of your sailing, including shore excursions, beverage packages, dining reservations, and more. So check that out and walk through there, see what's available to you, and maybe start booking some of those things. As we've talked about in other videos, it's really important that if you see something you want to book or you think you might want to book it now, lock in the price. Everything in the Cruise Planner website is 100% fully refundable, no cancellation penalties. So if there's a drink package, a dining package, an excursion that you think you might want to do or definitely want to do, book it now, lock in the price. If there's a better price tomorrow, next week, 6 months from now, you can always cancel and rebook. But the price can sometimes go up. So book it now, lock in the price, guard against the price increase, but you'll still be able to take advantage of a price decrease should one arrive there. The next thing you're going to want to do is now go to your phone or mobile device and open up the Royal Caribbean app, or download the Royal Caribbean app first, then install the Royal Caribbean app, then open up the Royal Caribbean app, log in your account, because you're going to want to go take a look at the online check-in option. So Royal Caribbean allows you to do online check-in, similar to airlines and whatnot, but it's really important to do the online check-in as soon as you can so to get a early check-in time. Now, if you book your cruise like a year or so in advance, online check-in will not be available. As of the recording of this video, Royal Caribbean has been opening up the online check-in around 45 days or so before you're sailing. So look at it, see if it's available. If it is available, do your online check-in immediately. If not, make a reminder, put something in your calendar to let you know, remind you, hey, check that a little bit later, close to your sailing date, to see when online check-in is available. It's really important to do that to get an early check-in time. The earlier you can check in, the earlier you can board, and the earlier you can start your vacation. So it's really important to take advantage of that as soon as you can. Next up, I think it's actually important to start looking at how you're going to get to the departure port for your cruise. And if you're going to be flying in or traveling to your departure port, it's really important to arrive there at least a day early. In the grand scheme of travel, there are certain aspects that you have little to no control over, such as mechanical breakdowns, bad weather, or other types of delays. The key to ensuring that any kind of travel delays don't impact your ability to get on the cruise is to arrive at least a day ahead of time to that departure port. So instead of arriving to your departure city on the day of your cruise, Get in early. By planning to arrive to your departure port at least one day early, you assure yourself that a travel delay will not impact your ability to get on your cruise. Having an extra day or two provides a buffer to account for travel delays, because the last thing you want to do is put your entire cruise vacation in jeopardy because of a delayed flight or flat tire. As an added bonus, by arriving to your embarkation port at least a day early, that means you get to start your vacation even sooner. And in many cases, the port you're departing from has its own cultural and historical attractions that you can explore. So vacation starts a little bit early, some fun things to do, and you're not going to miss your cruise. Next up, it's a good idea to learn about the ports you'll be visiting. The ports of call you visit are an exciting aspect to any Royal Caribbean cruise, so it's important to educate yourself on what these ports of call offer and what type of activities are available before you leave your home. You can certainly book shore excursions on board the ship, but lines tend to develop at the shore excursion desk, or even worse, I would say, trying to wing it where you walk off the ship in a particular port, look around, and try to figure out what you're going to do on the fly. You can do that, but I don't advise it because you're just going to limit yourself to what you can possibly see right there on the spot, rather than take advantage of the power of the internet, which is really good at providing you lots of options and different prices as well. You can view all the shore excursions available by logging into Royal Caribbean's Cruise Planner and browsing the shore excursions by port. Each excursion will list the price, details of the activity, and any physical or age restrictions. Now, of course, Royal Caribbean's excursions are one half of the equation, because you could also do your own shore excursions in different ports. There are advantages to booking your own tour versus Royal Caribbean. Royal Caribbean, everything's already done for you. It's pretty much straightforward. You just book it and you're done. Booking on your own, you have to do a little more footwork, and you might also have to vet the provider, the tour operator, to ensure that they're reputable and have good reviews and all that kind of good stuff. Odds are most of these operators are probably reputable, but you want to do your due diligence and look them up. But the other advantage of booking on your own is you might be able to save some more money, and also you open up all sorts of other options beyond what the cruise line offers to you. Regardless, it's a really good idea right now to start looking into what the ports are known for, what's available, and start coming up with ideas. Again, you don't have to book your shore excursion a year in advance or anything like that. In fact, in most cases, it's okay to wait a little longer. But if there's a particular tour you absolutely want to do, I do recommend booking your shore excursions as early as you can, especially for places like Europe or Alaska, where the excursions are a little more varied, and some of the more popular things do go a little earlier compared to the Caribbean, where, beach stops are a dime a dozen. Now, you may have done this next step already before you booked your cruise, but if you didn't, you might want to learn about the ship you just booked. It's a really good idea. After booking your Royal Caribbean cruise, you might have questions about theme nights, activities offered on board, showtimes, and more. And there is no way in absolute terms to know what your upcoming cruise will offer or not offer, because Royal Caribbean doesn't publish that information on activities and entertainment in advance. But what you can do is learn about what Royal Caribbean typically offers on these cruises by reading a past cruise compass to see what's available on those sailings. The Cruise Compass is Royal Caribbean's daily newspaper that's distributed to guests on every day of the cruise. Generally speaking, Royal Caribbean sailings on a particular ship do not change that much from week to week in terms of activities or entertainment offered. There'll be some discrepancies, but an old cruise compass can give you a good ballpark of expectations to plan around. In addition to that, it might be a good idea, since you're already here on YouTube, to look for a video tour of the ship. I don't know about you guys, but visualizing things really helps me quite a bit, and there's a number of great video tours of Royal Caribbean cruise ships, including a number of great tours we have right here on our Royal Caribbean blog YouTube channel. So check out those videos. Yes, it's a shameless plug, but in all honesty, seeing a video tour of the ship you're going on really can help you understand what's available. And it's great for a planning process. By seeing all these things, you might be exposed to something, an idea, or an activity you didn't realize your ship has. But research in advance, learn about your ship, so that when you get on board later on, you're already knowing what to expect and where the general layout of the ship is, so there's less surprises and you don't waste as much time. All too often, people who are new to cruising, especially people who don't know anything about the ship they're going on, get on board and they don't realize or learn about certain amenities or offerings until later on in the cruise, and they end up just, missing out on those kinds of things. So don't be that person. Learn about your ship. I think it's also really important to consider travel insurance for your cruise, because travel insurance is one of those things in life where you're probably paying for something you're not going to use, but if you ever need it, boy, is it really important. Royal Caribbean, your travel agent, and a slew of companies offer trip insurance for your vacation depending on your risk tolerance, and it may be a good investment. Trip insurance can protect you against a multitude of emergencies, unforeseen events, and accidents. It's one of those things that you're glad you have it if you need it. And it's important to not just look at the price, but consider what's actually covered by the plan. You can also check if your credit cards include trip insurance in their policy. Many credit cards include that provision provided you use that credit card for payment of your cruise vacation. Once again, a good travel agent can be your guide in assisting you as to which options are plans and best for you. Next up, make sure your passport is current. It never hurts to double check your passport to ensure it's still valid and will be current throughout your cruise. All too often, people assume it's good to go and then realize really close to their sailing date, their passport expired or is going to expire really, really quickly. It only takes a couple seconds, but dig out those passports and check for their expiration dates to ensure that you're all set. And if you're wondering, do I need a passport? The answer, in our opinion, is a resounding yes. The benefits of traveling with a passport far outweigh any of the costs associated with getting one. It's a solid investment for any traveler. If you're an American citizen going on a cruise that leaves and comes back to the United States, you can travel without a passport, relying only on a original birth certificate with a raised seal and a state-issued form of identification. But I don't recommend that at all. Yeah, you're going to save a little bit of money, but the problems that it could potentially have just outweigh any benefits. So again, get yourself a passport. And if you're looking at this, again, a year or so more than when your cruise is going to sail, now's the perfect opportunity to get that paperwork in. Do it. You'll thank me later on because it's so much easier and it's a great investment in your travel future. Since this video is coming out in 2022, I do think it's important to also talk about COVID protocols and health protocols in general, regardless of when we're talking about. I can't tell you in advance what the protocols will be for your particular sailing. So you're going to want to keep an eye out for them between now and when you actually sail. If your cruise is coming up soon, the protocols may already be available for your cruise. You can find them on Royal Caribbean's website. But if not, you want to be able to monitor them and keep track of them as you get closer to your sailing. Again, if your cruise is more than a year or even, heck, more than 6 months in advance, you're way too far out to know what your protocols are going to be. But it's important to understand what they are today. Use that as a baseline, but understand they could change. So make sure that you are cognizant of that and you keep tabs on what the protocols are so that way you're up to date. Whether we're talking about COVID testing, vaccination requirements, or anything else in between, no one knows what the future may hold in terms of that, but you got to keep an eye on it to ensure that you understand what's required so that way you can be prepared for it and, of course, schedule things like pre-cruise COVID tests if that's needed for your particular sailing. And the last thing I think is important to look at after you book a Royal Caribbean cruise is to re-look at your dining preference. Now, when you booked your cruise, you probably already did this, but we're going to talk about this one more time because I think it's important, and that is relates to dinner on your cruise. Dinner on a Royal Caribbean cruise has a few options to choose from, and you'll want to make sure you pick the option you want. You're going to have two choices, traditional or My Time dining. Traditional dining is where you have a set time each night of your cruise where you'll be seated at the same table in the main dining room and have the same waitstaff and table mates. This is the most common choice available, and it's also the most widely available option. There are two times, early and late seating. Again, the advantage is also the same as the disadvantage in that you have the set dining time every day of your cruise, which means there's not flexibility to change your time if one particular day you want to eat later or earlier than that. You're kind of stuck with it for better or worse. The other option is My Time dining, which takes place in the dining room as well. But instead of a fixed time and an assigned table, you reserve times during the evening or just simply show up to get the first available table. My Time dining allows for more flexibility in when you eat, but requires more planning to ensure that you have the right spot each night to dine at. Now, the good news is whatever you chose when you booked the cruise, if you change your mind about this, you can always change it by contacting the cruise line if you book directly with the cruise line or your travel agent to request the one that you want. There can be times where the choice you want is full, but you can always request to be put on the wait list. And in my experience, the wait list requests usually are fulfilled. Which one should you pick? Well, there's advantages and disadvantages to both. I prefer traditional dining because I like having the same waitstaff every night and the same table mates. There's not as much ambiguity, and I like that the waitstaff gets to know my preferences and whatnot, and hey, that's my particular style. But there's a lot of people who prefer My Time dining because it's hard to know when you're going to be hungry. Maybe you're in port a little longer on one day, so you're going to want to have dinner later on, or suddenly you feel like now is the right time for dinner, so you can simply go there and show up and get the next available table. There is some nice benefits to having that level of flexibility, and that flexibility has proven to be very popular with a lot of cruisers. So it's okay if you're not 100% sure. Go with what your gut is telling you as what probably sounds more appealing to you and enjoy that. And maybe on your next cruise, you'll know for sure which one is the right option for you. So there you have the important things to do right after you book a cruise. Keeping in mind, by the way, that in the weeks and months leading up to your cruise, there's plenty more to look into and research and follow along with. But off the bat, these are some good things to start looking at and get yourself started. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions about that and any tips you might have if you're watching this for somebody who's brand new to cruising. Maybe you just took a cruise and you have some lessons learned. I would love to hear your advice for what people should do as soon as they book a cruise, what the next step should be in the comments below. I'll be looking forward to that. While you're down below this video, hit that like button. It really helps us out with YouTube. If you hit that like button, also subscribe to our channel and turn on your notifications. That way, YouTube lets you know we have a brand new video to share. This has been Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and we'll talk again real soon.